Imagine stepping into a grand, ancient mansion, its halls whispering with secrets, its walls heavy with untold sorrow. The Queen's house, a place of regal beauty, hides something far more sinister. A ghostly presence lingers, unseen, yet undeniably felt. Doors lock on their own, shadows move when no one is there, and in the dead of night, a voice whispers from the darkness, but who is she? Why does she haunt these halls? And what happens to those who dare to uncover the truth? Stay till the end, because once you step inside, there's no turning back. The Queen's house stood in the heart of an ancient city, a monument of grandeur and mystery. Its white stone walls had seen centuries of history, and its halls had echoed with the whispers of royalty. But behind its regal beauty, there was something else, something no one dared to speak of. People whispered about the late-night shadows that moved without a source, the chilling laughter that echoed through empty halls, and the candle flames that flickered despite the absence of wind. Some said it was just old stories, but those who had truly seen it knew otherwise. They knew of the ghost that still wandered the Queen's house. Her presence was undeniable. Servants had reported seeing a figure in a flowing white gown, her face obscured by darkness, standing at the grand staircase, unmoving, unblinking. Guards patrolling the house often felt an icy breath against their necks, only to turn and find no one there. The corridors, though beautifully decorated, carried an air of sorrow, an unseen weight that pressed down on every visitor. A historian named Daniel, eager to uncover the truth, decided to stay in the Queen's house for a night. He carried only his notebook and a lantern, convinced that the legends were nothing more than exaggerated tales. But as the night deepened, he found himself questioning everything. At midnight, the air grew unbearably cold. The paintings along the walls seemed to watch him, their eyes almost alive. As he stepped towards the grand staircase, he heard it, the unmistakable sound of rustling silk, as though someone in a long gown was walking just behind him. He turned sharply, but there was nothing. Just silence, just shadows. Determined, he moved deeper into the house, towards the room that had remained locked for over 100 years. It was said to be the room of a betrayed queen, a woman who had died in sorrow and rage, a woman whose soul had never left. The key trembled in his hand as he unlocked the door. The moment the door creaked open, a wave of icy air rushed past him, sending a shiver down his spine. Inside, the room was untouched by time. The bed, covered in deep red fabric, looked as though someone had just risen from it. The mirror above the fireplace was clouded, yet he felt something moving within its reflection. He stepped closer, raising his lantern, and then he saw her. A face emerged in the glass, pale, hollow eyes staring straight at him. Lips parted slightly, as though she were whispering. But there was no sound, only the deep, unsettling feeling that she was watching, waiting. Daniel stumbled back, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The room seemed to close in around him, the walls tightening. He needed to leave. Now. As he turned to flee, the door slammed shut on its own. The lantern flickered and went out. The darkness swallowed him whole. And then a voice, soft, delicate, yet filled with sorrow, spoke from the shadows. "Why have you come?" Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to scream, to run, but he couldn't move. He felt an invisible force pressing against him, cold fingers brushing his cheek. The scent of old roses filled the air, sweet yet suffocating. He forced himself to whisper, Who are you? Silence. And then, the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate. The floorboards groaned as something unseen moved towards him. The air grew heavier, the pressure on his chest unbearable. He gasped, struggling to breathe. The voice came again, closer this time. You should not be here. The lantern flared back to life, revealing the room once more. The mirror was clear now, reflecting only his own terrified face. The pressure lifted, and the door creaked open. Without hesitation, Daniel ran, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. He didn't stop until he was outside, gasping for air under the pale moonlight. The Queen's house stood still, silent, its windows dark and empty. But as Daniel looked up, he saw her. At the window of the locked room, a figure stood, watching him. A figure in a flowing white gown, her face obscured by the shadows. And then she smiled.